Hello, magical hands. Welcome to another sewing tutorial. If it's your first time here, hi, my name is Jessica, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for coming back. As you can tell from the title, we'll be making this beautiful romper jumpsuit, and also this tutorial is going to be a full tutorial. Also, guys, if you want to see the fitting of this on my body, make sure to watch this video to the end. And without any further ado, let's get into the video proper. On the center front area, I'm going to mark 4 inches inwards. That is going to be the starting point. So I just need like 4 inches allowance. And from the top part, I will mark 2 inches downwards. That is going to be the starting line of everything. So, and that portion is also going to enable us get the color of this. So just go ahead and make straight lines across these points that we've already drawn out. And then from where this line starts from, that is where everything is going to start from. From the top part, I'll mark my shoulder measurement divided by 2, which gives me 7.5 inches, but I like to use 8 inches. Right on that point, I'll come down by 1 inch. I'm currently using my pencil to mark, and then I'll mark that 1 inch to meet the center front. From that same point again, I'll mark my round armhole measurement divided by 2, which gives me 8 inches, that is 16 divided by 2. And I'll connect a straight line downwards from that shoulder point, and then I'll also extend that line to the right side because that is going to enable me to get the armhole curve. Next, I'm going to find the midpoint of the armhole, which will enable me to curve this as well. And the midpoint of 8 inches, that is the center of 8 inches, is 4 inches. So I will mark that point. Another point, I will mark inwards half an inch. So that half an inch is going to enable me to curve this properly. I'm just going to place my ruler as seen and connect as seen. So now that I have my armhole curve, I'm going to start marking the basic points. My shoulder to my bust point is 11 inches. I will mark a straight line across that point. My shoulder to my under bust is 14.5 inches. I will also mark a straight line across that point. My shoulder to my waistline, which is also the half length, is 18 inches, but I used 18.5 inches. So I'll just mark a straight line on that point, and then I'm going to indicate what this line stand for so we don't get confused. I have my bust point, under bust, my waist, or the half length. Next, I'll mark from my shoulder to my hip line, which is 26 inches, and I'm going to indicate it as HIP. So the distance between my hip to the crotch is going to be 2 inches. So I just marked 2 inches from the hip line to the crotch. And my crotch line, that is the point where I have this division. That is the part that leads to like the whole private area of your body. So that whole area, you can just go ahead and place your tape from your shoulder to that point. That is the crotch line. And it's on the crotch line we'll get the crotch depth. So next I will mark the full length, and the full length of this dress is going to be 29 inches, but I decided to make it 30 inches because it was too close to the crotch line. Next, I'll start marking my round bodice measurement on all the points. On the bust point, I mark my round bust measurement divided by 4, which is 9.75. Make sure to place your exact measurements. On the under bust line, I also did the same thing. My under bust measurement is 33. 33 divided by 2 gives me 8.25 or something thereabouts. Likewise to my waistline. And then my hip line, my hip measurement is 40. 40 divided by 4 gives me 10 inches. And I'll bring my hip measurement to the crotch line. Okay, we've not gotten the crotch depth. Make sure to mark your hip measurements on the crotch line and also on the full length. So we are going to now connect these lines together. I will start from the full length upwards. Just take your time to connect, and also I will use my marker to deepen the lines. Back to the shoulder line. For the width of this neck, I will be using 3.5 inch, and for the depth I will mark 2 inches. I'll connect those 2 points together so that I will have the neckline, and then I'll also just go ahead to deepen the shoulder line of the blouse. Right on that 2 inches that we marked downwards for the neckline, I'm going to extend 1 inches outside of this line that we drew. I'm going to extend 1 inch, and that 1 inch is going to be for the button band. Now I'm going to use my marker to redefine the waistline because the waistline is going to be a bit of our focus point here. So also on that waistline, I'll extend 1 inch outside of the line, and that is going to be for the bottom band. That is where the bottom band is going to stop. So I'll connect this 1 inch from the top part to the lower part. I'll connect it together. Next, we are going to get the crotch depth. The crotch depth is the space in between your legs, the whole of that space in between your legs. That is where your trouser joins together. So, in order to get the depth, my hip measurement divided by 4 is 10 inches. I'll go ahead and divide 10 inches by 4 again. As you can see me doing with my tape, if you don't have a calculator, just fold your tape as seen. 10 inches divided by 4 gives me 2.5 inch. That is going to be the extension of the crotch, which is the crotch depth. So right on the crotch line, I'm going to mark 2 inches outside of this line that we have. 2.5 inch, sorry, because it was 2.5 inch records. So I'm going to now remark my crotch line. I'm going to mark it outside of this line to the 2.5 inch, and that is going to be the extension. So this extension is not just going to stay there, it's supposed to be curved. So we are going to curve it from the hip line to meet the crotch line, and that is going to be the crotch depth of everything we need, everything about crotch. That is going to be it for the front piece, because that of the back piece is different, and you understand as we move further. So I'll just use my marker to connect with a clean curve to meet the crotch line right from the hip line. For the full length, I'll measure my round thigh, that is my lap, which is the point where the full length is going to stop. And my lap is giving me 23 inches. So 23 inches divided by 2 gives me 11.5 inch. Just keep that in mind, 11.5. So first of all, I'll go over to the crotch line. I will mark what I have on the crotch line right from the extension to that hip line, to the other side, the hip side. I'm going to fold it into and find the midpoint of the crotch, because now the crotch is the biggest part of the measurements we have. So now that I have the midpoint, remember that our lap measurement divided by 2 is 11.5. I'll also go ahead and redivide it by 2 again, which gives me 5.75 thereabout. So from that midpoint to the left side, I will mark 5.75. I will then from that midpoint to the right side, I will mark 5.75. So just first of all, connect a straight line downwards to meet the full length. And right on the full length line, you're going to mark that 5.575 to the left. And then you do the same thing to the right side. So this is literally everything. Just go ahead and connect these points to meet the crotch line. Next, I'll move to the collar. Now, the collar is going to be joined to the neck width, right? So we are just going to go ahead and start marking the collar from the neck width upwards. So the wideness of the collar will be 1 inch. Right from the button band allowance area, I'm going to start marking my collar from that point. So just mark 1 inch all through, and you can see that it is going to look like a curved form. So right from that shoulder point, I'm not going to mark it in a slanted form. I'm going to mark it upwards very straight. So I'll just start connecting these points that I already have the dotted lines on, so that by the time I am done on that shoulder area, I will explain better so that we are not confused. So right on that shoulder area where I marked 1 inch upwards, I'm going to first of all use my pencil to connect this very straight. And this is not supposed to be straight, but it's going to enable us get the actual thing. So now that I have it straight, from that point, I'm going to go in by half an inch. And then I'm going to reconnect a new line from that half an inch. Now you will see that the collar will no longer be straight, but it will be slanted on the shoulder area. You know, from your neck to your shoulder is in a slanted form. It slants down to your shoulder area. So nothing about your shoulder or your neckline should be straight. It should all fall in a slanted form. So now that I have that, I'll just go ahead and connect it to meet the curve that we already have. Now we have the collar for the front piece. So I'll just indicate it as F, and then I can go ahead and start cutting. For the back piece, I took out a fresh pattern paper and then I placed the front piece on it. I'm going to use my tape to tape this down. Remember I told you guys earlier that the waistline is going to be more of our focus point, which is the reason why I defined the line. So now we are going to go ahead to trace out the body of this. First of all, this back piece does not need a button band, so we are going to fold up this button band. So I'll just use my pencil to trace out the bodies of the front piece on the back piece. I just kind of stopped at the armhole line, not necessarily that I have to trace everything, but make sure to trace out the main bodies. Now I'm going to mark the waistline of the front piece on this new pattern paper. I'm going to mark where it ends. Now that I have the waistline and I've already traced out the bodies, I'm going to take out the front piece from the back piece. So I used my pencil, and this might not be so clear. I don't know. If you can see it, just let me know. So I'm just going to draw a marker on that waistline. So, okay. So the main aim now is to define the back crunch. And the reason why the crotch at the back needs to be defined is because of the bum that we have behind. Normally, your back is not straight because of the whole bum effect. So it is very important for your crotch at the back to go inwards, and that is what we are going to do. So first of all, I'm going to add 2.5 inch to the crotch line, so the crotch depth. Remember, I duplicated the front crotch to the back piece, so we are going to add another 2.5 inch to the already marked 2.5 inch we had from the front piece. And now we are not going to connect this to meet the waistline, we are going to connect it inwards, which is very important. I usually do this for my palazzo for everything, and I'm going to do the same thing. So I marked 1.5 inch inwards, as you can see, and that is where I'm going to connect this new crotch line to meet. That is how the depth of the crotch line is going to be defined. So this way my jumpsuit is going to relax very perfectly around my bum area. I hope my explanation makes sense. If you don't understand, let me know in the comment section. I'll try to type it out more understandably, if it makes sense. So that 1.5 inch that we took in, we'll have to replace it at the other side, okay? Because now that we've marked in 1.5 inch, definitely our waistline is already short by 1.5 inch. So I'll just go ahead to the other side and mark 1.5 inch to replace it, meaning we still have our measurements accurate. And then I'm going to now connect that 1.5 inch to meet the actual length or the hip length. Mind you, it's only the waist area that we did this 1.5 inch in and out. It does not affect the hip line, so just connect it, slant it down to meet the hip line. So I'll just take my time to do this very well. I'm not going to play this video on fast, I'm just going to take my time so we understand. So now that we have a new crotch, remember that's what the first one looks like. Because of the 2.5 inch, we'll just go ahead, use your free hand. You see me, I'm not using any measurement. Just use your free hand to slant it down. That part does not need a measurement. And then now I'm going to close up the lower bodies. So this is the reason why I use the pencil, because I will still go ahead with my marker to define the main lines. The main thing is to work on the waistline, which is very important. And then for some people that don't want to work on the waistline, you can still place your front piece and just duplicate everything and just extend the crotch line. So I'll place this back, and then I'm going to shift this to the new waistline that we've already adjusted, as you can see, and you will see that the crotch is a bit different. So guys, now I'm going to go ahead to trace out the whole bodies of this properly. Now that we've adjusted the waist, you will see that all the measurements have shifted. So just go ahead with your marker and trace out the lines. Also, for the neck width of the back piece, remember we use 2 inches for the depth of the neckline for the front piece, and for the back piece I will use only 1 inch. So by the time I trace out these whole bodies, I'm going to definitely work on the neckline. I will go up by 1 inch. So just take your time to trace this perfectly well. So for the depth of the neckline of the back piece, I marked 1 inch upwards, just like I said before, and then I'll use my curve ruler to connect it to meet the width of this back piece, because the width of the neckline must align, it must be equal. So I have my new neckline for the back piece, and this is everything for the back piece, guys. This is very, very easy. And for the collar, I'm going to mark 1 inch upwards. As I'm marking the 1 inch upwards, you will see that it is going to be taking a curved shape on its own. This is literally everything we did for the front piece as well. We are going to repeat it on the back piece. And then around the shoulder area, after we've curved it, just as seen. Around the shoulder area, we are going to mark 1 inch straight, okay, very, very straight. Make sure it is straight. Then we'll go in by half an inch. And I already explained that from your shoulder to your neckline, it is not straight. Nothing about that area is straight. It's actually in a slanted form. So you have to slant it to have your collar sitting perfectly. Now I'll transfer these pieces, the front and back piece, to my fabrics. So after I transfer this pattern to the fabric, I also transfer the front piece as well. You will see that I transfer them into separate fabrics, and I couldn't get I don't know the name of the red one, but I know the purple one is shiny poly and it stretches only on one side. So this fabric is a bit stretchy, just so you know. So I'm going to align this as seen, and I'm going to take this to my sewing machine to sew. For the front piece, I will sew from where the bottom band starts and I'll stop right there. Don't sew that lower part, just stop right there, just sew as indicated. Don't sew the bottom band. Then for the back piece, we are going to sew everything all through. After sewing, this is what the back piece looks like. So I'm going to place the front piece on it, right face facing the right face, and then I'm going to sew up the side seams. The main aim is for you to just be creative. Me putting these fabrics together in this way is actually nice, and if you want, you can also mix it up. I mean, the purple at the left and the red at the right. For the back piece, the purple will then be at the right and the red will be at the left. Just anyhow you want to be creative about it is cool. So I'll just go ahead and align this properly and then sew up the sides, likewise the shoulders of this. After sewing as indicated, this is what it's expected to look like. So now for my collar, I have the front piece, and don't forget that is the collar side, that side that goes up a bit. Likewise to the back piece, that is the collar side. So the collars are supposed to join. So I'll use my tape to glue that together. And now I'll go ahead to cut the collar of this. I'll fold this jumpsuit, I'll fold the neckline into two so you can see. I will place the collar on it and you can see that everything matches well. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut the collar in two different fabrics as well so that they can align at the neckline. Also make sure to add seam allowance while cutting this, and then cut in two different pieces. One will serve as the lining for the main fabric. So now I've cut my collar, as you can see, on both the purple and the red fabric. So I'm going to sew up that side as indicated so as to make this one full collar piece. Afterwards, this is the result I have. Place one of these on the other piece, that is right face facing the right face, and then sew along the top side as indicated, just sew as indicated. After joining it, I'm going to flip this to the right face, and I'm going to now take this to my sewing machine to join to the main piece of this. So I'm just going to sew so that the rough edges can show. Then later on I can take this to the weavers for weaving. After sewing the collar, I went ahead to put my sleeves, and this is the result, guys. I didn't even hem the base of this, which is because the fabric does not fray. So this is what it looks like. All that's left for me to do is to fix the bottom band, and this is the result.